Capture objectives and kill your enemies.
Hello everyone. So last week was the Modern Warfare Open Beta, and after spending most of my time playing it, I wanted to share my thoughts on it and what we'll likely see in the full release. I say likely the full release because typically the betas we get access to are launch builds, to make sure people don't experience too many differences between the beta and launch and how that might affect them and whether or not they want to buy the game. Of course, this means issues we find in the beta run the risk of not being fixed by launch. So let's start off with weapons and customization. In general, I feel the weapons in the beta weren't too bad. All the categories need a good balance pass once or twice just to make sure they're pretty comparable, since some weapons were pretty terrible compared to others, but in general it wasn't too bad. Going into more specifics, however, things start to get a little more bumpy. Assault rifles feel a bit too good all around. They're steady, fast-firing, effective at long range, hard-hitting, quick to reload, and quick to handle. With assault rifles, I was able to dish out and receive a number of beatdowns, to the point where I was outclassing people with some machine guns, light machine guns, and shotguns, when those should have been the effective weapons at those ranges. Assault rifles should be typically well-rounded, but not to the degree where they're the de facto choice for anything outside of sniping. Shotguns are just bad. So bad, in fact, I saw people use anything else they had in close quarters instead of a shotgun. The first shotgun at close range typically needed 2 shots to kill. It had such horrible pump speed that you would typically die before you could get your second shot. The under-over shotgun needed 2 shots as well, but it was at least able to fire off its second shot quickly and typically take someone out. When shotguns fail at close quarters combat, they essentially fail entirely, since that is their whole point. Light machine guns could use a slight bump in damage, at least for the lower handling ones. Without something like suppression from Battlefield, they feel pretty worthless outside of dumping rounds into VTOLs and support helicopters. Snipers and marksman rifles bounce between being solid and being complete trash. Aiming at people centered right on their chest, close enough to not have bullet drop, and somehow they'll sometimes have a round just corkscrew into the void. I even had an instance where a kill cam showed my shot flying high and left, even though my reticle was right on the target's chest. The customization is pretty cool, with tons of sights and attachments like textured grips, muzzle brakes, flash hiders, stock changes, barrels, different wattage laser sights, FMJ, more ammo on spawn, even a suppressor for the under-over shotgun. On top of it all, you can just slap 5 attachments on a gun and roll. Yes, it affects your handling and might have some other adverse effects to your gun, but I didn't notice much of a difference between a bare-bones gun and one where I had 5 attachments on it. The part that's bothersome about the weapon customization is not being able to see all future unlocks and what level they get unlocked at. I don't know if some weapons get different grip stocks and barrel lengths, and I don't know when or if I get to rechamber certain weapons. Different attachments seem to unlock at different times for weapons, so it would be nice to know when FMJ or better stocks unlock compared to when they unlock for other weapons. The future unlocks bar only shows a few, and it's not really helpful since those unlocks are already visible under each attachment category. I want to be able to plan out a build and decide if a weapon is really worth leveling up or not. Even with all the customization and weapons available in the beta, people still gravitated towards the MP5, M13, and the sniper rifle. I rarely saw someone use an Odin or an AK, and I never saw anyone use the SA-86 LMG. A new feature in Modern Warfare is the field upgrades. Field upgrades, for those who don't know, are like specialist abilities, except not horribly broken. You can deploy an ammo box, place some deployable cover, call in an EMP drone, get the benefits of the Dead Silence perk, get stopping power rounds for a magazine, among other things. Each has a different recharge time, so you have to choose if you want something fast you can spam out, or a slower charging but more impactful ability. In general, I thought it was good, but there are a few abilities I could do with being added. For this new Modern Warfare, Infinity Ward went back to kill streaks. I feel this is a bad thing because with points not really mattering, people aren't actively playing the objectives all too much. They end up focusing more on getting kills and hiding to keep their kill streak active, or at least try to get something better as opposed to actually helping their team. The least that could be done is to at least make it so capturing an objective gives a kill towards kill streaks. The kill streaks themselves are pretty average for the franchise, and only 2 of them are really worth pointing out: the infantry attack vehicle and the white phosphorus bomb. The IAV is a vehicle you drive, which is pretty cool. It's you and then someone who can turn out from the top and man a 50 caliber machine gun. For balance reasons, the IAV is vulnerable to small arms fire, which is fine because otherwise you could probably just park it behind some cover, toss a trophy system or 2 out, and have it never die. The white phosphorus bomb functions like napalm from Black Ops, but instead of a solid line of fire, a number of bombs are dropped in a line, making a number of dangerous areas for enemies, all while filling the area with a thick white smoke. From my experience playing, I feel that they're missing a few streaks to help balance things out, and to help kind of cycle some of the air streaks that end up hanging around for too long, especially in ground war. The graphics, as you can see by this point in the video, are far better than previous Call of Duty games. The only issue that I have is during the intro to ground war matches, you'll come in a helicopter or you'll be waiting on the ground and the textures won't load in fully, so you'll start the match and for a few seconds you'll be running around and it feels like an early PlayStation 2 game. I understand that this is just the textures needing to load in, but if I had to wait in a loading menu for 5 more seconds to not have to deal with really gross, low-res textures, I would be fine with it because it just really feels off and makes it seem like the engine isn't able to handle everything. The big thing for graphics that really earns my praise is the dust that gets kicked up from explosives. If a grenade goes off or some Semtex detonates on the ground, a nice big cloud of dirt will get thrown around, and it doesn't feel weird. It actually looks really natural compared to normal footage you see from war zones. Now for the maps. One thing that's really common among all the maps is how many entrances every building has. Windows, doors, holes in walls, ladders leading to roofs that let you jump across alleyways through other windows like it's a knockoff Assassin's Creed. There's a lot of entrances to buildings, which makes locking down areas really difficult. That said, it also allows you to evade common sniper alleys or other things that get really annoying. Like if someone parks a vehicle and just starts firing down a lane, you can usually just hop through buildings and come out the other side just fine. For the individual maps, we'll start with Grasna Raid. Grasna Raid seems to favor snipers a bit thanks to the long open streets and a field on one side of the map. It does give a number of paths to get around the sniper nest though, so there's a cluster of buildings in the center, a few opposite to the field, and a trench that runs through the open field, but that trench is really risky to push. I rarely saw people move towards the field unless an objective was there, so I think for the most part it'll be a dead zone. Hackney Yard isn't a bad map, but it's nothing really special. You'll end up getting shot from the rooftops a lot because there's always someone crawling up there like they're playing the floor is lava. The map is honestly way too short, I found, and I would find myself having the spawns flipped again and again and again, and that probably wore on me the most since it was impossible to get momentum going sometimes, as the team would just get bogged down spawning on opposite ends and picked off, and it would slow the game down to unenjoyable levels. Gunrunner sure was a map. The side with the trees on it is essentially just a sniper nest, or really a nest for anyone with any magnification, since it gives good sight lines down towards that side's spawn, and it isn't really fun because then you come around the corner and just get blown away consistently. The map itself felt really messy, and it allowed for people to spawn flip really easy, which I suffered through a number of times, including one instance where the spawns flipped, so I spawned on the train side, only to have the spawns flip again right after I spawned, so I was the only player on my team there, and I was mowed down instantly. People also like to use deployable cover to block the entrance to the air duct and then camp in it like vermin for some reason. The zoo cave actually wasn't that bad at all. I heard a lot of people had issues with the map, but I had a lot of fun in it. I would hang around in the cave area for most of the time. The village isn't bad, I just found it too easy to get flanked, so I tried to avoid there, and people would hide a lot in the buildings. And finally, there's Karst River Quarry. For a first attempt at a really large map, I'll say it's good. Coming from games like Mag and Battlefield, though, I'll say the map is crap. It looks great, fighting in what looks to be an abandoned quarry and the supporting buildings. The ridge on one side of the map is just a magnet for snipers and for some reason all the APCs. If this happened once or twice, it would be fine, but it was pretty much every map. People would take the APCs, just drive up there, shoot each other until whoever survives, and then just start shelling down into the buildings. Quarry Spawn has an advantage in that aspect because it can drive up the ridge faster and use the APC's exploding shells to indiscriminately fire upon areas without putting themselves in a risky position. If there was some major risk of being more exposed to retaliatory fire, I wouldn't have as much of an issue with the ridge, but there really isn't. The B, C, and D objectives are just way too close together. A and E are nice and out there and are the gimme flags for each team, but those middle three are so tightly packed that the area just becomes a hellscape because you're running from building to building and everyone is sandwiched in a good 3 to 4 buildings firing at each other. If B was moved more towards the ridge, C stayed where it was, and D moved more towards the large fuel silos and a little back, I think it would be fine. The team spawns are pretty easy to lock down due to building placement. The number of times I've seen squads of enemy players or teammates not taking objectives, but instead just sitting in buildings sniping down at enemy spawn is honestly ridiculous. And finally, the game modes. A good number of the classic modes were back for the beta: Team Deathmatch, Domination, Search and Destroy, Headquarters, and then there's a few new ones. I'll admit I didn't play the new ones outside of Ground War since they didn't appeal to me, and because of that I don't take them into consideration positively or negatively for my review of this. The only mode I'm going to go into detail on is Ground War, since that seems to be the game's marquee game mode. The mode they want you to see and play, that big feature like how Blackout was for Black Ops 4. For those who somehow missed all the news, Ground War is a 32 versus 32 domination match with 5 objectives, a far larger than normal map, set spawns, vehicles for each team, and about 5 times as much chaos as normal. Ground War is a cool mode and a cool idea, but I feel it's a complete waste on the COD community. Typical Call of Duty gamers aren't so focused on objectives, especially with a kill streak system in place over a score streak system. But even when score streak systems were in place, the most popular match type remained Team Deathmatch. Yes, Domination and Headquarters have existed in the past, but they're not nearly as popular as TDM. It feels like when you play Ground War, all 31 other teammates will ignore critical things and say, oh, someone else will take care of it. Someone else will shoot down the VTOL killing us, or the counter UAV blinding us, or the UAV giving enemy intel. I've had 8 to 10 people sitting in buildings near the opposing team's gimme flag, trying to snipe and cause havoc, all the while their own team is sitting at around 100 points versus the opponent's 200. Too many people play it like it's just Team Deathmatch, but bigger, instead of the objective-based mode it is. Hearing the announcer say, capture objectives, kill enemies, makes me a bit disappointed since it feels like a large number of people hear the kill part and ignore the rest. On top of that, I think the best way to describe the average mentality for Ground War is all the worst parts of Battlefield put together. People creeping around the edge of the map to capture the enemy's gimme flag for 2 seconds before being hosed down, or creeping around the edge of the map just to walk behind you and shoot you in the back before being hosed down. People jump in an ATV at the start to rush to the gimme flag, only to jump in the helicopter alone and fly towards the enemy and bail out to get to a tower to snipe, only to die horribly because they're trying to face down 32 people at once. Ground War also has a strange thing that I wasn't able to test anywhere else, but VTOLs and other helicopters seem to just shoot through rooftops like they didn't exist. Maybe they have FMJ during Ground War, or maybe they just have it at all times and I never noticed. But it really crippled any entertainment, because a VTOL was more effective at clearing a point than white phosphorus or any higher up streaks. And even as I say that, kill streaks still feel a bit useless in Ground War. They still kill people and do a good job at it. The problem is you just get stuck waiting so long to call in anything. The airspace is clogged constantly. I've seen 4 UAVs, counter UAV, gunship, VTOL, and a ton of other crap in play at once, and the second anything goes down or stops, someone else is already filling up the airspace. Your deployables are bound to your life also makes Ground War exceedingly difficult. In Battlefield, I could toss slams or AT mines and go off to do other things. If I died, I knew my mines were safe and sound, waiting for some unfortunate soul to drive over them and get destroyed. But because mines, claymores, and anything of that nature vanishes when you die, vehicles rule with impunity since it's highly unlikely any mines placed to stop them will last more than 2 minutes at best. Spawning on squad members is honestly the epitome of horrible. It's the same issue in Battlefield. You would see a guy run behind cover, and after 2 seconds, 3 more people just appear out of him. In Ground War, it's the same thing, but this time it can happen after the guy who was the spawn point is dead. I ran into way too many issues where a guy died, and then a new person just blinks into existence over their corpse and starts firing. Sometimes the original guy then gets to spawn on his friend who spawned on his corpse. Or the other instance is where someone with Ghost runs along the edge of the map, hides in a building near the opposing team's gimme flag or HQ, then proceeds to spawn 3 other people like he's going through mitosis, effectively becoming just a ghetto spawn point. If the spawns were limited to objectives, tactical inserts, your team's HQ, and your team's APC, I think it would be a lot better. Driving vehicles is a really kind of clunky experience. Your perspective is locked to third person, so it's difficult to accurately aim your main gun, since you'll be able to put your reticle on a target, and you'd assume, hey, I can aim at the guy, I can shoot him, but then when you fire, you actually hit the wall in front of you between him and you, or any other thing that can potentially block you, because you're not getting the most accurate sight line. You get stuck on every piece of terrain and even small railings, so it feels less like you're driving an APC and more like you're driving a plastic toy car. They're unable to be repaired, so any damage is permanent.
We're taking Alpha.
The combination of the minimap and compass feels really clunky to me. It's a lot of UI clutter. Yes, the compass shows a marker in the general direction of people shooting, so you can get a better feel of where people are who don't show up on the minimap, but it just feels like it takes up way too much space, and then you're watching essentially 2 readouts looking for targets instead of actually focusing on what's in front of you. If they could somehow be merged, I think it would be better. And the game was freezing and hitching a lot. I would suddenly freeze for 2 to 4 seconds and teleport around, and at first I thought it was me, but my connection isn't that bad, and never near that level. Plus, I would play with other people who would experience the same freezing and hitching at the same time. On top of that, I had a number of instances where I would shoot someone, and they would turn and kill me instantly, only for me to watch the kill cam and find out on their end they either shot a ton at me in a split second, or I only shot once at them, and it makes me think either the netcode is horrendous or the engine is struggling to run Ground War. With all this said, I'm not going to say the usual stuff everyone else has said of, oh, it's a return to form, modern warfare is back, it's just like the old games, because it really isn't a return to form, because the form never changed. Modern Warfare is still the same as the previous games. People camp around corners and play like cowards, slapping claymores everywhere, waiting for someone to stumble upon them, or they fly around the map like noited up crackheads. Nothing in that aspect is new. The maps, the customization, the weapons, kill streaks, and other things like that are the new parts, but the core, the heart and soul of the game is still the same. Is that bad? Not necessarily. Is that good? That's on you to figure out. Now for the thing people are probably waiting for. Do I think the game is worth getting? Honestly, I don't know. I had a ton of bad experiences and a few good ones. If you're a die-hard Call of Duty fan, you likely made up your mind already and will get it anyways. If you're looking for a brand new experience, you probably won't find it because the community and the tactics used by the community haven't changed. If you're a Battlefield veteran or a MAG veteran thinking Ground War can be your new home, I don't think it will be. I think there are too many minor annoyances that will keep showing up and don't exist in your primary game of choice, and those things will slowly erode your patience for the game. After I finished recording all this and getting it ready, I found out about the 1-year exclusivity deal for the survival mode on PS4, DLC weapons being put in supply drops, and the fact that there was a salvage system so players could get what they wanted, but it was removed. I may be a PS4 user, but none of that is okay in my eyes, and it's the kind of stuff that drives me away from the game and tells me to not bother. If it's gonna be more of the same exploitative crap we had to deal with in Black Ops 4, I would say no. Don't bother with this game. It's just gonna be more of the same that we've dealt with in the past. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have anything you want to say, please make sure to leave it down in the comments. If you could, hit the like button and maybe the subscribe button. That would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Enemy cruise missile incoming. Take cover. Allied cruise missile away. Ah! Enemy UAV overhead. Check your damn fire! Friendly UAV overhead. Enemy position airstrike. Take cover. Taking Delta. We're taking Bravo. We captured Delta. Allied cruise missile. Friendly UAV overhead. Airstrike available. Enemy UAV overhead. We've got a UAV on station. Ready? Friendly IAV dropping in. Hostiles at Alpha. Go. Allied cruise missile away. Friendly IAV dropping in. Need backup and go. Enemy cruise missile incoming. Take cover. Enemy UAV overhead. Securing Alpha. We're on Bravo. Stand by. Securing A. taking Bravo. Enemy UAV overhead. Friendly UAV overhead. Hostiles are taking Delta. Enemy precision airstrike. Friendly UAV overhead. We're holding Bravo. Lost Delta. We're taking Delta. Friendly UAV overhead. Delta secure. Enemy UAV overhead. We're halfway there. Keep fighting. Friendly AAV dropping in. Enemy UAV overhead. Enemy cruise missile incoming. Take cover. Allied cruise missile away. Friendly UAV overhead. Friendly VTOL on station for overwatch. Allied cruise missile away. Friendly UAV overhead. Friendly UAV overhead. Enemy UAV overhead. Friendly UAV overhead.
This is Striker 3-1, good copy. Reloading!
Allied cruise missile away. Be advised, friendly precision airstrike inbound.
This is Jaguar 3-0. Solid copy.
Enemy UAV overhead. Friendly UAV overhead.
Be advised, UAV is bingo fuel. RTB for resupply.
Enemy cruise missile incoming. Hostiles at Bravo, go.
One down.
Enemy precision airstrike, take. Losing A.
Setting Claymore! Setting Claymore!
Enemy UAV overhead. We're taking Echo. Securing Bravo. Friendly UAV overhead. Friendly AAV dropping in. We're taking Echo. Need backup at Delta. Losing C. Friendly UAV overhead. Reloading. Enemy precision airstrike. Take. Hostiles at Delta. Echo secure. Enemy UAV overhead. Securing Bravo. Need backup at Alpha. Enemy precision airstrike. Take. Securing B. We're winning this. Keep it tight. Friendly AAV. Drop. Friendly UAV overhead. Enemy UAV overhead. Securing B. Enemy VTOL in the AO. Enemy UAV overhead. Missile away. Outstanding. I expect nothing less.